I have sent a message.
Hello, everyone. This is the second Global Dialogue for Justice. And we thank you so much for your continued support. And we are live. So Colonel Demirtas and Dr. Samantha Schender from the United States are joining me. So thank you so much, Colonel. And this is our second Global Dialogue for Justice, where we talk about the most pressing issues, and we're continuing the conversation about the systematic torture is a tool of a new form of genocide. Colonel, please say hello to our audience.
Hello to everyone. So all watching from around the world. And the problem here, every day, the Turkish agenda is changing. And it's not so easy to explain what's happening in Turkey. So not torture, not only the torture, also kidnapping people from all around the world, and detaining the people arbitrarily and selectively. And it is a systematic use of genocidal tools, social genocidal tools, which I call erdocide.
So, Dr. Schindler, thank you so much for joining us from the USA. And please say hello to our global audience. You are a regular guest, and your contribution to Global Dialogue is so valuable. So, thank you so much, Dr. Schindler.
Hi, everybody.
Dr. Schindler is served as a captain in the United States Air Force. She is the author of the Deliverance series, also a dog trainer, and a runway model, and of course, my fellow doctors in the sky. She's a skydiver, so pretty courageous and amazing person. Of course, and you are your perspective, as always, is appreciated, and we learn so much from you each time you join our dialogue, and the four phases of our dialogue. You've been with us, and so the whole time. Thank you very much for your contribution. So we are waiting for Dr. Bairam. I know he's there. So Dr. Bairam just finished his very powerful presentation, and we invite our audience to go to this channel and to watch his presentations. And it's remarkable. He was talking about the thieves and killers in Turkey. I mean, this is real, and this is so important for our global audience to understand. So, Colonel, you please tell us. Last year, you talked about erdocide, and these are almost like a documentation. It's very important documentation of what's happening. But you have an update. Can you tell us about that?
So I call erdocide because it's a new type of genocide. It's a social genocide, and it is a mean of killing people with their family members selectively and continuously in a systematic manner. And when I published my book, Erdocide, there were 113 tools and methods of genocide. But later on, I have found 137 tools and methods. So the last one is killing people in a religious manner. So labeling people as kafir. Kafir means non-believer. So they are targeting people, Turkish citizens, by saying them kafir, which is a tool of ISIS also. Because, ISIS calls people as unbelievers, and they say to rape the girls, women, young girls also, to rape them is allowed. And also to kill, beheading the people is also allowed. And we saw this on 15th of July, 2016, because some terrorists, some killers, they killed innocent young boys on the bridge by beheading. So this is the last one I documented as a genocidal tool. So in this systematic erdocide, in this systematic, they kill people socially, economically, legally. So legally means injustice. There is no way to to take back your rights from the justice. It's not possible. In a democratic country, normally rule of law principle is mandatory, and it is the base of a democratic country. But in Turkey, when someone is labeled as as a victim of this erdocide, he has no right to to a fair trial. So he is a victim of this mechanism 2 generations. So these 2 generations is announced by an ex-admiral who had a real active role in this erdocide. So he founded a system also called as fetometer. So by this Excel table, this is a Microsoft Excel table. So they use some criteria, and with this criteria, they are labeling people as terrorists. So in this systematic, they kill people socially, economically, civilly. So you don't have any right. For example, when you live in another country, and when you have a newborn baby, when you go to consulate, they don't give to your new baby any identification card. Imagine that. Imagine.
And Dr. Baram, hello. I think that Dr. Baram is joining us. So hello, Dr. Baram, can you hear us?
Hello. So, hello, Dr. Baram, can you hear us?
Yes, yes, I can. Yes.
Dr. Baram, can we?
Dr. Baram, can we?
Yeah, very good now. Yeah, very good now.
All right, that's
All
perfect.
right, that's perfect.
Can you?
Can you?
Huh? Okay. All right. So thank you so much. Dr. Baram has joined us. He just finished our presentation, watched his presentation. So we invite our audience to watch that on this channel. It's a very powerful presentation. So before we continue, I'd like to say thank you to all those people who have volunteered and to, like, for example, most,
like, for example, most, almost.
Okay, so I was saying almost all our presentations on Premiere have a translation or subtitles. So, and these are not easy to do. And I'd like to thank Musin Said Kuchukosi and for the work that he's done. I truly appreciate it. And Colonel, your friend also has helped us with the subtitles. So if you can say thank you to him, thanks so much for his contribution. It's very valuable. And please let him know that we appreciate his help.
So I'm not able to see him.
Yes. Okay, so
Can,
did you, yes, your friend who provided the subtitles for two of our
yeah.
presentations. So thanks so much. And so for our global dialogue this year is pretty big. It's pretty massive, I think, because the participants are all individuals who have their experiences it is it's very hard. It's hard to tell the story, but they are courageously and tirelessly their tireless effort. For example, Narsena Kachuk and she's a young woman, and her father was kidnapped, and for her to continue that effort to find him and to challenge authorities for their accountability is, I think, is pretty courageous. And her presentation is coming right after our conversation here. Also, Sally Gargalolo, his presentation is also following Narsena, and we would like to say well wishes to Sally and also to Melek, who's we have an update just this afternoon what's going on in Turkey, and we want to send them our well wishes, and hoping that they will be, they will be back to us and engage us and give us an update on what's happening, because it's so important. And also, after this, we have continuing our presentations on Istanbul Convention. It's a new topic for Global Dialogue for Justice. And also from Ferhat Erdogan, who's from the European Justice Initiative. So he's also have a presentation coming up. And also Melek Chetinkaya. Okay, she's a very special woman. And so maybe you guys can help me, Dr. Bayram and Colonel, on to give an overview on her presentation. I can't even speak, I get nervous. It's so special, and her courage is, it's truly unbelievable. And she's a member of the military, and Dr. Shinder, you understand military life, and it's very touching, So, and also another presentation is Nazan Boskert, and she's talking about the babies in prison. This one, I just, I can't. I was crying last year, and she promised that she's not gonna make me cry this year. So, Nazan, thank you so much. So these are the amazing presentations we have, and Colonel Malik is a member of the military, and you understand what's going on there. Can you please help us to give an overview of what she's going to talk about during the global dialogue?
So Melek Çetinkaya is a mother of a military cadet. So military cadet is a young, very young student of military school, and on 15th of July 2016, some cadets were sent to the bridge. Some of them to bridge, some of them to other positions. But they didn't know anything about what was happening on that night. And they just waited, and they read the national anthem with the civilian guys, which were collected on call of Erdogan to the streets. So these students are completely innocent, but the high generals, they don't want to overtake the responsibility of that night, and they just blame these young students as terrorists. And some of them were beheaded, and some of them lynched, were killed, and the others who survived, they were just detained and then tortured in police stations. And everybody knew these students were innocent, even the lawyers of Erdogan. And they said, some of them, these students are completely innocent, and I don't want to take the responsibility of innocent people, and I cannot blame them for this coup attempt. and they just rejected to be lawyer, to serve anymore as lawyer. I'm talking about the lawyer of Erdogan himself. You know? So everybody knows these students are innocent, but they are kept in jail, and the court decided with instead of execution, but lifetime sentenced. So it is lifetime sentenced. And United Nations working group for arbitrary detention decided these students must be released immediately, promptly released, and this massive detainment in Turkey means arbitrary detention, and it has a potential of crimes against humanity. This is officially declared to Turkish government. And also in this paper, they said the responsible courts members, the responsible administration members, they should be, how can I say? There must be something happen. Something must be done against these responsible administrative members and judicial members. Officially, there must be something done. But still, 6 months, I think, passed after this letter to the government. Still, these young students are in jail. So this is the summary of their what happened to them. And Melek Çetinkaya wants to make people aware of this situation and this reality. And he is acting as a human rights activist. But today in the afternoon, also she was detained by the police because she said the Constitutional Court decided, for example, member of Parliament, Mr. Gergerlioğlu, must be released, and she said she just supported Mr. Ömer Faruk Gergerlioğlu's son, Salih Gergerlioğlu, in front of Sincan prison. Everything is arbitrarily. So they don't have any respect to rule of law, and they don't have any respect to freedom of speech. They don't have any respect to rights of people. This is the situation, and I can summarize just like that.
So, Dr. Shinder, when we compare, when we look at these situations, for example, with they're very young cadets. You know, cadets follow orders from their superiors. So, and now for serving their country, they are imprisoned for life. This is so hard, you know, for us to take in, to understand. What do you say to the military families whose their sons are, you know, imprisoned for life for serving their country, for following orders? You know this well. What do you say to them?
I mean, I don't know if there's really words for it. Cadets they're often the most patriotic and the freshest, most motivated faces that you see in the military, and it's almost even more of a tragedy because of that they're taking these kids and they're persecuting them. I mean, cadets, I have to say, cadets rarely know what's going on. So we obviously, they're just officer trainees. They're fresh, just like any military. Our cadets are just, they're fresh faces. So I mean, the fact that the Erdogan administration thinks that they can get away with pitting mastermind plots on these cadets, that's just laughable. I mean, I don't know how the international community can look at that and go, oh yeah, sure, fine. Cadets never know what's going on. Like, what? How could it's not plausible at all, and I feel very deeply for their families.
Yes, and that's what Melek, one of the mothers, fighting for them, and so the other main issue that I wanna kind of ask your perspective is the
Excuse me,
constitutional court.
Dr.
We talked
March.
about this.
Excuse
Yes,
me, Dr.
yes,
March.
Colonel.
Can I add some? I need to highlight that. So
Sure.
just imagine what happened in that night. These cadets were in buses, school buses, and the civilians collected around the bus, and they triggered a fire in the bus. They broke the glasses of the buses, and they attacked to these cadets. These cadets had all machine guns and 40 bullets per each. And they just hid their weapons. They just tried to not to look at the civilians, just not to, how can I say that, just to keep calm the civilians.
They tried not to
And
engage.
they didn't engage anything. They just sat in the buses, in broken buses and in burned buses. Can you imagine the situation? And there are video recordings of this. So due to these kind of things, everybody knows they are victims more than innocent. They are victims of lynching. So the civilians attacked these cadets, but these cadets didn't give any reaction. They didn't do anything against these civilians. More than that, they read national anthem with the civilians. The courts, they know that. Everybody knows that. So these videos are published by local TVs, and everybody can find in YouTube these videos.
And we have.
Turkish sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Colonel.
Yeah, and Chief of General Staff announced that 8,600 soldiers engaged this coup attempt in the beginning, in the first day, or 21st of July, as I remember. But later on, after trials, judiciary mechanisms, they decided more than half of these soldiers were completely innocent and nobody were engaged in coup attempt. So it means more than 4,000 soldiers were completely innocent. And the number of students may be more than 2,000, because they are adding these numbers just to show to the Turkish public and international public how big the number was engaging to the coup attempt. But just to deceive the society, Turkish society and international society. So when they release these cadets, then this number, the amount of this number, will be lower and lower. So the government does not want this happen. Because of that, they are keeping these innocent young boys and girls in jail.
So that's so important for us to know that the international community, because it's, we need to be educated on, things that are like this. Because in our country, for example, when I don't think it's going to be, just ignored, So that's why it's so important that we're showing this, we're having this dialogue because we wanna reveal all these lynching. And I can't even. When was the last time we heard this? I know that it's just so hard to take these these facts, and for the international community, like for example the international media, whenever I say July 15 event, I always say it's an event. It's not a coup. It's not a failed coup. It has to be, we have to know more. We have to keep asking question about this. And I think we are a little bit apathetic in the way we engage with this kind of issues. Just because it's in Turkey, we are, like what I always say, we're no longer a part of a small community, a part of a small village. We're interconnected. What's happening in Turkey is also affecting peoples outside Turkey, and it's happening. The situations like that could also be happening in other places in the world. So that's why
It's not
Yeah.
just in Turkey, though. I actually wrote my master's thesis on honor killings in the United States, where young girls would be beheaded or murdered in different ways for reasons of honor reasons, basically. But it's the same thing. It happens here in the United States as well. It's just not covered.
Yes. So first, before we continue, I'd like to say hello to our viewers from the Netherlands and, of course, Turkey. Thank you very much. Mel Waterlander, she's going to be doing a presentation on Istanbul Convention. That is a must-see presentation. And also the live conversation like this, we will do that on July 12th, I believe. So then the other one that we want to give an overview is the presentation of Sally Gagliolo. And today, like we said, the update is that he was also detained, and we don't know at the moment the situation. But Dr. Bayram, the deputy really well, and the ruling to the highest court says that his detention is unlawful and he must be released right away, and they didn't. So do you think that when the highest court of the land make the rules that says you have to release someone and they didn't, so is that ruining, or is that like the reputation is in question because they're not being followed? How is that work in Turkey? Because in the United States, it's completely different.
Okay. Margina, my connection is poor. If I lose connection, please forgive me. First of all, we should put some facts right. Turkey is a de facto dictatorship, according to German Bertelsmann Stiftung Foundation's Democracy Index. This is the first fact. Second is, according to Freedom House, you all know that index democracy and human rights is a partly free country. So, taking these two information into consideration, Turkey could even be considered as a rogue state. What is rogue state? Rogue state no other than wheels of the dictator or the tyrant ruling the country. This is the situation in Turkey. So, due to one man being over of everything, over the Constitution Court, over the European Court of Human Rights, over all institutions, so possible decision and value in the country, as in the case of Ömer Faruk Gergerlioğlu, or in the case of Osman Kavala, or in the case of Selahattin Demirtas, or in case of many others. So we should put this picture in our minds first. So what happened to Gergerlioğlu or his son Gergerlioğlu or even Melek Çetinkaya? I heard that Melek Çetinkaya was arrested with Salih Gergerlioğlu too. Just for your information. So at the moment, just protesting against government's unlawful deeds. Ömer Gergerlioğlu's son, Salih Gergerlioğlu, is now under custody. I learned that Melek Çetinkaya was with him. She is under custody too, and a few other MPs or a few other journalists or people are under custody as well. So nobody is safe. Is predictable in the country. Whatever tyrant wishes, I can only say this for now. If you ask me other questions, I will be pleased to answer. Thank you.
Dr. Murch, I can't hear you.
Sorry. Okay, thank you, Dr. Bayram. I would like to ask you, Dr. Shinder, what you heard, the ruling of the highest court in Turkey to release the deputy member of the parliament that they unlawfully detained, and now, you know, they're not, there's the ruling that he should be released, but they're not releasing it. So my question is, it's so different in the United States. You think that their reputation is going to be in question, correct? If they don't release the deputy. If in the
Well,
USA, it's
in order for the reputation to be in question, it has to be covered by major news outlets. And it has to actually create a stir, create a buzz. People have to pay attention. That's the problem.
so do we have to resort now to like the social media, you know, putting them on the spotlight, saying that, hey, you know, you are the highest court of the land and your ruling is being ignored because technically the deputy should have been released already, what, 5 days ago? And so Saleh and Melek ended up, you know, detained because they are, you know, trying to say, hey, what's going on here? So this Saleh has a presentation coming tonight, and I invite our global audience to pay attention to this because he was shared the works of his father and also, you know, the torture that happened to him. This is so much disregard for someone who has worked so hard and have you know, a defender of human rights, loved by so many in Turkey, and he's completely, you know, disrespected by the police, by the system. And so that's why we do this. The Global Dialogue for Justice is dedicated to have the conversation, to advance the conversation, to share the stories. And his son has got 2 presentations for our global audience to educate us on what's happening. And hopefully we'll get more updates. And before we continue, again, I'd like to thank our audience who are engaging here. And this is very important. Thank you so much. I will be reading this and we will be responding to you once we are done on the response section of YouTube. So thank you very much for all your suggestions, your feedback, questions. Thank you very much. So tonight, the following presentations, after we get out of here in 30 minutes, is going to be Narsina Küçük Asiyet. And you probably heard this is a very important topic in Turkey. This is enforced disappearance. So her father disappeared in December. And so she is really asking the question, how come the authorities is not stepping up the effort? And Colonel, what is going on? Why is it there's not a lot of effort? And Arsena is working very hard by herself, looking for her father and asking questions. What happened to him?
Normally, in a constitutional state, the rights of people, freedom of right, political rights, economical rights, social rights, every kind of rights are in the insurance of the government, in the legal system. But in Turkey, Erdogan's bureaucracy, I don't say Turkish state, Turkish government, I say directly Erdogan's bureaucracy, which is a dictatorship, which is a dictator bureaucracy. So they just directing the constitutional court, all the judicial system. And for example, Nursena Küçük Özyiğit. So she is one of the victims of kidnapped citizens, Turkish citizens. There are lots of them. So maybe more than 25 people still they are not able to be found. And the prosecutors, they know that. And the prosecutors, they are protecting the people who are kidnapping these victims. So when somebody applies to the prosecutor's office or to a court, these prosecutors or the judges, they are just ignoring these kind of applications. So they are protecting the criminals. These criminals are under protection of Erdogan's bureaucracy. So this is an illegal organization. So nobody can say that anymore as a constitutional state. Because in a constitutional state, no genocidal crimes can be executed. Nobody can be criminal, or so because this protection makes or produces other criminals. So this kidnapping or enforced disappearance is just under protection of Erdogan's bureaucracy, judicial people, and the other administrative people. So this is a complete end of a constitutional state. So the state is collapsed or corrupt. So this is the situation in Turkey. So nobody can speak about a constitutional state anymore. But this is the situation. This is one tool of Erdocide.
And that is the reason why, Colonel, and to all our people that are watching right now, it's so important that we support Narsena on her efforts. And she doesn't stop. She doesn't quit. Just like Sally, both of these two young people are so admirable. They're persistent and they are fighting really hard for justice. And I think people in Turkey and people in international, in other countries have to look at this as an example. Young people fighting so hard, and we need to support them. So that's why I'm very proud of what we're doing here. Maybe we're not really making that a whole lot of difference, but when we have this kind of conversation, when we keep, we're also, it's hard. It's not easy to put these things together, but here we are, the second year, and Dr. Bayram, Colonel, and Dr. Shinder, thank you very much. And our audience on my right side, I'm reading your comments, and I truly appreciate your participating with us. You are an important part of this dialogue, so thank you so much. We have another very important issue that we're going to discuss is the illegal imprisonment, or unlawful, like people from another country. Say a Turkish citizen is in another country, and they were the long arm, the reach of the dictator, the brutal regime is so strong that people outside of Turkey they can reach. This is, you know, like for example, the Orhan Enandi. We heard that he is now in Turkey, and he was taken from Kyrgyzstan and brought to Turkey. And this is so disturbing because I think countries, host countries, have to step up in protecting citizens, because when they get taken back to Turkey, what's going to happen? What's going to happen to Orhan Enandi? Colonel, what do we do? How do we prevent this? How do we ask the nations to step up in protecting citizens?
So the international community must act. So this is something. This is not a individual fight to save a country. So, but we are just trying to make people aware of these kind of brutalities, systematic brutalities. But the international community, European Court of Human Rights, for example, European Community, European Council, they should act, because it's something that more than Turkish nation, it's a matter of international community. So United Nations must act, because in, for example, as I told a few minutes before, the United Nations Working Group Against Arbitrary Detention, they declared that these kind of massive detainment means crimes against humanity. So it means in Turkey, Erdogan's bureaucracy is responsible for crimes against humanity, crimes against humanity. And crimes against humanity is just one step before genocide. So it is very clear that. So, and you know, the Nazi regime, they were tried because of crimes against humanity, because then there was no genocide was defined. You know, so the situation in Turkey is the same as Nazi regime. But in Nazi regime, they were killing people promptly. But in Turkey, they are just killing people and their generations gradually, step by step.
So, this is so hard.
So I said this 5 years before, and now I am saying that more and more strongly. So this is very clear.
This is very hard. Yes,
yeah.
Colonel,
So the international community must act, because, as I said in my first presentation, Erdogan is a threat to humanity, not to Turkish nation only. So he is, and his bureaucracy is manipulating the international environment, the international peace, the international institutions, United Nations, European Court of Human Rights, European Community, NATO as well. So it is maybe you remember in Hitler's rule, I can say, when he was ruling the country in the beginning, the other leaders, British leaders, French leaders, they were just trying. They just tried to be more passive against Hitler. They didn't do anything, and this fed Hitler, and he killed more than 6 million people. And now this is happening in Turkey. Now, just in a systematic way, gradually. So the international community is not able to realize what is happening, because it is gradually. It's happening gradually. But in 5 years, I found that more than 733 people were killed because of this way of systematic erdocide, as a result of erdocide. More than, because I'm saying always more than, because the number is always hidden. The families, they don't want us to know the names of the victims. So I am recording name by name, and until now I found 18 babies which had no names. It means just, for example, 8 of them were there in mothers. They were not born. Okay, so 8 of them. The other 10, they had no time to take a name. So 1 day, 2 days, then they were killed. So this is a part of erdocide. They are baby killers.
Well, you mentioned the babies. Dr. Bayram, one of the presentations on July 15 is about babies in prison. And this is going to be presented by Nazan Boscourt. And last year we learned about the mothers and babies in prison. What can you say about this?
Well, I'm going to answer your question indirectly. In Turkey, that is run by a criminal coalition headed by a dictator, the most favored citizens of the regime are organized criminal gangs. I mean, mafia members, mafia leaders. They run the show in the country. They get official state police protection. Official state police act like private bodyguards of those mafia bosses. They get best businessman awards. They get best philanthropist awards. They get citizenship if they are not citizens of the country. They get even diplomatic protection. Then they do all sorts of things: money laundering, drug smuggling, illegal arms trade, supporting international terrorism, this and that. So, in a country like this, babies, innocent people, innocent mothers have no value. Okay? These sorts of regimes, rogue state regimes, try to create an image of law and order. But as I told you, law and order are only for little people, innocent people, who do not fit the ideological framework of the regime. Regime portray an image to the outside world that they are fighting terrorism. In fact, they are fighting mothers with babies. As I told you, they are not fighting with terrorism. If they were fighting terrorism, they would fight against those organized criminals who do drug smuggling, illegal arms trade, support terrorism, money laundering, this and that. To hide all sorts of organized criminal activities, government portrays an image that they are putting in prison many number of criminals. And I can say that who those criminals are: mothers with babies, honest judges, honest journalists, honest officials, honest army personnel, honest police personnel. Those people are labeled as terrorists, put in prison, and portrayed that government is fighting terrorists and terrorism, so that they should not be bothered, they should not be disturbed by outside interference. This is the reality. So I hope I answered your question indirectly or directly. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bayram. Dr. Shander, You heard
You
about that.
heard
Babies in prison, that with mothers and babies in prison. That's really, really hard, you know? So I don't know. It's just so heartbreaking for us, you know, to learn about this from the international community. That's why we keep, you know, trying to engage our international audience, because the babies don't deserve to be in a cold prison in a jail cell. This is something that's unacceptable. So, Dr. Shinder, thank you very much for you joining us from the USA, as always. And you are an amazing author, and your books are speaking of injustice. And you know, I hope that you will give us an update on many more books that you're publishing on this, and you will continue to join our dialogue. So thank you very much, Dr. Shinder. Thank you very much. Dr. Bahram and Colonel Demirtas, thank you always for, you know, you are an advisor, and you are the rock of this project. And you know, I can't do this without the two of you and without Dr. Shinder. So and also our audience who are following us and who are continuing their support. And maybe next year I will be in Istanbul for the kickoff. So please continue supporting our efforts here, and we will find justice if we just never quit. If we continue to be persistent, fighting tirelessly. Sometimes, you know, we are tired and we're overwhelmed and we're hurt, but if we are together like this, we can do this. And it's not easy, but there is hope. So for those of you suffering, for those of you that's sometimes losing hope, please be strong. You are not alone.
A lot. Thanks a lot, Dr.
And
March. Thanks a
thank
lot.
you.
I appreciate
So,
it. Thanks a lot.
So following this presentation now, we are going to join. We're going to watch Narsana. She's got a moving call for justice to find her father, and I hope that you will join us. So, Colonel, we please say goodbye and to our audience, and invite us to the amazing presentations that are still coming up.
So we will continue to fight against all these criminals, and we are rejecting to stay silent against crimes against humanity and erdocide, just behalf of millions of innocent people in Turkey and all over the world. Goodbye. Thanks a lot.
Dr. Bayram, say goodbye to our
goodbye to our
audience and invite them
audience
to
and
join.
invite them to join.
Okay, what I'd like to say to the outside world, that if you'd like to live in safety without harassment of those drug smugglers, armed traders, international terrorists, please care for the safety of other people. Because if we don't care about what is happening around the world or outside of our world, criminals get safe havens. Like ISIS got a safe haven in Iraq or Syria, as you know, and then we all had to fight, and then had to get many of our men killed, good men killed, so that not to have another a disaster like that, we have got to care for the problems in other countries. Please pay attention what is happening in Turkey. There is a 21st century Nazi regime in power in Turkey. We have got to pay attention to it. Otherwise, believe you me, the world will have a serious trouble in a short space of time. Please take care of yourself if you don't care about us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you,
Bayram.
Dr. Bayram,
Shinder,
Dr. Shinder.
what's your message to the world? Dr. Shinder? Dr. Shinder, can you hear?
Oh, I didn't know you were talking to
What-
me.
Yeah, what is your message to our global audience and the way we engage? We have to keep engaging and paying attention to what's happening in other places like Turkey.
Well, I think it's important to be educated, and I think it's important to watch because what happens in one country mirrors itself in countries across the world. So what might be happening in Turkey on a grand scale could and is happening in the United States on a smaller scale or in maybe a more muted fashion, but it can also grow. So people that think they might be safe in their neighborhoods here, they have no idea how history can treat people and a nation or nations. So it's important to pay attention.
Thank you very much. This is a very good message, and I hope that the global community will step up, will stand firm, and speak louder for those who are victims of injustice. So, thank you very much. Good night, everybody. Thank you to our participants on our chat, and let's go ahead and wait for Narsina within in 4 minutes. And she is coming in with a very, very important presentation on enforced disappearance. Where is Hussein Ghalib Kuchukasi? Thank you.